Welcome back to Art with Mrs. S. Today we're going to be talking all about texture. Texture is how something feels or how it looks like it feels in art. So we're going to be looking at visual texture, or how we create how something would look like it feels in art. And the way we do that depends on what kind of visual texture we're trying to create. So what I'd like for you to do, we're going to make 6 boxes, and we're going to practice 6 different kinds of visual texture. Kind of draw in those horizontal lines on my paper. And you can do separate boxes. You just need 6 different spaces. I'm going to do 2 vertical down, just so I have enough space to work and I can write down those textures in there. The first texture we're going to practice today is fluffy. So if you think of something fluffy, you might think of something soft like a bunny tail or light as a cloud. And if an object was really with us, we could touch it and it would feel fluffy. But when we're drawing or recreating that, we have to make it look like that. So to create something that looks fluffy, you might do something that's very curvy and bumpy and smooth, so that we know if we were able to really touch that rabbit tail or that cloud, it would feel fluffy. We're going to kind of do the opposite of that next. If I do something that is pointy or sharp, then instead of curvies, I might have to do more rigid lines like a zigzag. I'll kind of do pointy, sharp. So I might have to have these jagged, sharp pieces coming out. This could be used for spikes on an animal or rough rocks. And I could just make these jaggeds come out. Could also be used to draw teeth. And again, if we were really physically there in person, we could touch those things and know that, ouch, those are sharp, but we have to draw what that might look like when we're drawing these things. The next one we're going to do is scaly. I could be looking at a snake or something like a fish. To draw scales, because they're kind of that smooth texture, we're still going to use those curvies. I draw kind of these hills, and then I do another row. They're not running over each other, they're just touching. Stop. It's kind of like I'm drawing an M over and over and again until I fill most of or all of my box. So I might use a scaly texture, again, on creatures like reptiles, and definitely you'll see those scales on fish drawings. I'm going to come down to my 4th box. So we have fluffy, pointy, scaly, and now I'm going to do one that would be a little easier, sandy. Think of something gritty, might have some bumps in it. I might have to just draw the sand itself. So I kind of have this dotted texture. Notice when I make dots, I'm not pressing my marker down really hard. I'm not hitting my board. Just very lightly kind of sprinkling around these dots to create this kind of sandy texture. You could use this if you're drawing a beach, sandpaper, something that would have some grit to it. Sandy. My next texture, we're going to use wet or watery. I'd want to use some of those curved lines again. You can have like a puddle or a pond. You could see water droplets. You might have those little marks in there like you would see when you're drawing bubbles. Or you could have water that's melting, or maybe ice cream is dripping down. Lots of smooth lines for that texture. I saved the hardest one for last, but we see this a lot in fabric, or if you were drawing a blanket or a rug or a basket. We have a woven texture. For woven, I like to kind of make my lines go one way, left to right. I'm doing kind of a double line here. And then when I draw my next set of lines, I'm going to have this kind of over-under pattern. So I'm going to color straight over, but when I get to that second grouping, I'm not going to color over top because I'm going to go under it. And then this one I'm going to go over it all the way to the end. I'm going to reverse that, so this time I'm going to start under, go over. This next one I'm going to go under. And I can continue that pattern to create that woven texture. Again, woven's really good for fabrics. If you were drawing clothing or baskets or rugs, blankets. If you look really closely at your clothing, you'll notice there's kind of a woven pattern to make it more of a visual texture. Alright, now there's many more visual textures, but those are some that we practiced today that we might be using in our art in the future. I hope you had fun today. I can't wait to see all of your texture practice today. Thanks for joining us.